Hello everyone, this is Commissioner Dick Schutz of the Central Minnesota's Finest League. I'm here to review week number 10 and preview week number 11. Before I go ahead and review week number 10, I would like to talk about a few trades that went down a few days before all the matchups started and got underway Sunday and then of course Monday. Our trade deadline was November 11th, which was Friday, one day into week number 10. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss a few trades that went down, and then we'll go ahead and review week number 10. Now, after Ryan and Dusty completed that big blockbuster trade that I already had mentioned, they went ahead and they traded amongst each other again. This time, it was Dusty getting rid of Jacksonville's defense and his second-round draft pick for next year. In exchange, Ryan traded away Jordy Nelson, Buffalo's defense, and his 10th-round draft pick next year. So for Dusty, to avoid being over 20 players on his roster, he released Melvin Mack right away, and the trade went through. All in all, I think this is a really good trade. Jordy Nelson is a top 5 wide receiver when Aaron Rodgers is healthy. So when you look at this from Dusty's standpoint, he may not get top 5 wide receiver numbers for Jordy the rest of the year, but he holds him as his franchise guy, his franchise keeper, and he can get a top 5 wide receiver next year. So for Dusty, it's a really low risk for him. He gets a guy that will probably end up being really good for him. The high reward there is, Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy next year, and Jordy Nelson will then follow suit with Aaron Rodgers. For Ryan, he beefs up his defense, his team defense with Jacksonville, and with that he gets a second-round draft pick. I think he did a really good job with this trade and got the most for the guys he got rid of course, Jordy Nelson being the big piece. Couple other trades I want to talk about. The other trades involve Dusty and Michael, and they went back and forth a couple times, so I'll just go in order, and I'll go from basically latest to earliest. So actually I'll go earliest to latest. So the first trade I want to talk about is Dusty and Mike. Dusty ended up trading away Brandon Cooks in his 4th-round draft pick for Michael Thomas and Mike's 6th-round draft pick. So Mike got Brandon Cooks in a 4, and Dusty got Michael Thomas in a 6. Well then, not too long after that, Dusty ended up trading A.J. Green to Mike for a 5th-round draft pick, and then Mike ended up trading Brandon Cooks back to Dusty in his 1st-round draft pick. Well then, they waited for the morning time. These trades happened November 8th, actually November 7th. Those trades that I mentioned beforehand were November 7th. The final trade of the 2017 and 2018 fantasy football season was November 8th between Mike and Dusty again. And Mike ended up trading A.J. Green, his 2nd-round draft pick, his 3rd-round draft pick, and his 8th-round draft pick to Dusty to get Brandon Cooks, Mike's original 1st-round draft pick, Mike's original 6th-round draft pick, and Mike got Dusty's 6th-round draft pick. I know it's a lot to kind of dissect and to soak in, but all in all, these two teams traded away some draft picks, traded away some decent players. For Mike, I'm sorry to say this, bro. You screwed yourself, man. You get your 1st-round draft pick back, but then you get rid of your 2nd and your 3rd, so you draft in the 1st round and you won't draft again until the 4th round. So for Mike, he definitely screwed himself. You know, he should have been obtaining those high round draft picks. Instead, he traded them away. So sorry, Mike. As commissioner here, I just gotta say it how it is, and you 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 sucked this one up. I'm sorry. I mean, Dusty absolutely went in and took your lunch money, my man. So good for Dusty, bad for Mike. Sorry, Mike. Maybe you should I don't know, read a little bit more about the game of football and all those things, because that might be beneficial for you as a fantasy football owner moving forward. In the meantime, let's go ahead and review week number 10 in our fantasy football league. We had all 4 divisional matchups, and without further ado, let's go ahead and review Turtle and Jared. Jared ended up beating Turtle 201 to 197. Jared moves to 5-5 in the season. He's now 4th in the league. And Turtle is now 4-6 in our league, and he's now 7th in our league, which means he's out of the playoff picture right now. And that was a gold divisional matchup. The other gold divisional matchup was between Kyle and Troy. And Troy clobbered Kyle 226 to 167. Troy is now 7-3 in the season. He's 2nd overall in our league. And Kyle, he drops to 5-5. He is 5th in our league, still in the playoff picture, but he's not holding on to the playoff picture by a whole lot. He needs to have a strong push at the end of the season here. Right now he's in, but he's in just based on some points here, and he needs to at least get a win or two if he wants to make the playoffs. The first purple divisional matchup I'm going to talk about is Ryan and Steph. Ryan beats Steph 180 to 147. Ryan is now 7-3. He's 1st overall in the league. And Steph is 5-5. She is now 3rd in the league. She really hasn't moved up or down the last 3 or 4 weeks. So for Steph, she's still comfortably in the race, along with Kyle. They're both 5-5. The last matchup I'm going to talk about is between Dusty and Mike. So sure enough, after all those trades, they go ahead and play each other in week 10. And Dusty gets the win, 181 to 153. Dusty is now 5-5. He moves into the playoff picture as Turtle falls out of the playoff picture. So Dusty is now in 6th place. He obtains the last playoff spot, while Mike falls to 2-8 on the season. He's still in last place, and because of the loss, he is now officially eliminated from playoff contention this year. Yahoo has not anointed that on our fantasy football page, but it is for sure. He is out of the playoffs this season, and he's probably out of the playoffs next year because he traded away all his early round draft picks. So for Mike, this might be a 3 or 4 year process to get back into relevancy. And so after week 10's matchups, let's go ahead and talk about our standings here. In the purple division, Ryan is in first place at 7-3. He's 5-2 in the division. Steph is in second place. She's 5-5 overall and 3-4 in the division. Dusty is in third place in the purple division. He is 5-5 and he is 4-3 in the division. And fourth place in the purple division is Mike's team. He is 2-8 overall and 2-5 in the division. In the gold division, we have Troy in first place. He's 7-3 overall, and he's 6-1 in the division. He has won his last 3 straight matchups. He's definitely on a roll right now. In second place in the gold division is Jared. He is 5-5 overall, 3-4 in the division, and he has won 2 straight matchups. You know, for Jared, he has definitely resurrected his season after losing David Johnson in the first week. He's definitely been putting a lot of good lineups together. I commend Jared for battling back and keeping his team in the race. In third place in the gold division is Kyle. He's 5-5 overall, and he's 2-5 in the division. So for Kyle, 2 of his 5 wins are against non-divisional teams, and all 5 of his losses are against his own divisional teams. So for Kyle, he's got to start winning some divisional games. He's got 2 left. And in fourth place in the gold division is Turtle. He's 4-6 overall, 3-4 in the division. He's lost 3 straight games. Turtle was one of the hottest teams right out of the gate the first 2 or 3 weeks, and after that his team has really struggled. So and with that, he is out of the playoff race right now. So after the standings here, I want to talk about our playoff picture, so I'll go ahead and do that. So Ryan and Troy are both in first and second place as it stands. That means they'll have a bye in the quarterfinals yet again. They'd still be on pace for that. So now our quarterfinal matchups look like this. We have a 3-6 matchup between Steph and Dusty. And the other quarterfinal matchup would be a 4-5 matchup between Jared and Kyle. So that would be the quarterfinal matchups as it stands right now, if the season were to end right now. And the winners of those 2 games would go ahead into the semifinals. We would reseed, and then Troy and Ryan's teams would be eligible for Week 15. I also wanted to mention this. So we have now 3 matchups left. Week 11, Week 12, and Week 13. And both Troy and Ryan have a 2-game lead in the win-loss column against divisional foes behind them. What that means is, if the right pieces fall into place here in Week 11, both Ryan and Troy could essentially lock up their own division after this week. If pieces fall into place, okay? It would, if I explain that to you guys, it would take me, 5-10 minutes. I don't want to do that, but I will just say that if they both win this week and the right teams lose, they can lock up the division. For surely, if they win, they lock up a playoff spot. Let's go ahead and preview week number 11, and we'll get you guys on your ways. So in week 11, we have, we have 1 divisional matchup and we have 3 non-divisional matchups. Let's go ahead and review. Let's go ahead and preview our one and only divisional matchup. It's a purple divisional matchup between Ryan's team and Mike's team. Again, Ryan's team, they win this week, they lock up a playoff spot. Ryan's 7-3, first place in the purple division. If he wins this week, like I said, he could also possibly lock up the purple division. For Mike's team, his season's done. It's not even worth talking about anymore. The first non-divisional matchup I'm going to talk about in week 11 is between Kyle and Steph. Both teams are 5-5. Both teams are in the playoffs. Steph is in 3rd place and Kyle is in 5th place. The winner of this matchup definitely stays in the playoff picture, probably as a 3, 4, or 5 seed. The loser of this matchup could be teetering on the edge of that 6 and 7 seed. So, for the winner, definitely good news for them. For the loser, they could definitely be jeopardizing their playoff chances the last 2 weeks after week 11 is complete. The third matchup I want to talk about, and the second non-divisional matchup, is between Dusty and Jared. This is one of the biggest matchups we've had this season. Both teams are 5-5. Both teams are in the playoff picture. But if Turtle rolls along here and wins 3 in a row or wins 2 out of the last 3, Turtle could really get himself back into the playoff picture, and the loser between Dusty and Jared could face the reek of that. So for Dusty, he's in the playoff picture for the first time in a few weeks, and he's got that 6th spot. Look, the winner of this matchup between Dusty and Jared more than likely will end up making the playoffs this season. The loser of this matchup, boy, I don't know. I mean, it's 50-50 at best. So this is, like I said, this is one of the biggest matchups we have all season. And the fourth and final matchup, actually, this is another divisional matchup. I apologize. This is a gold divisional matchup between Turtle and Troy. Troy is 7-3, and Turtle is 4-6. The odds that Turtle ends up turning it on here and wins the gold division, well, the odds aren't good, because he would have to go 3-0 here, and Troy would have to go 0-3. I don't see that happening, so I would assume and presume that Troy will get the gold division. But for Turtle's playoff chances, he's got to start winning soon. If he doesn't win here in week 11, not the end of the world, but he would for surely probably have to go 2-0 the last 2 weeks. So to avoid that, he's got to win this week and have a strong performance. Well, folks, that's about all I have for you. I know this is about 17 minutes here, a longer video, but look, this is crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. We could have 2 teams lock up a playoff berth after this week. We could have 2 or 3 teams absolutely duking it out for that 5th, 6th seed in the playoffs. This is crunch time without a doubt. So good luck to everybody, and I hope everybody sets their best lineup here in week 11. Talk to you later.